or at least a good number of my friends to join me this morning. Got some stuff to talk about. Boy, it is crazy out here. There is a lot of news, a lot of things that we can comment on, a lot of things that we still need to be concerned about. Oh, so many things that we need to be concerned about. If I started making a list, I'd be here for a long, long time, just completing the list. And if I allowed, all of my friends and followers to also contribute to that list, it would be even longer. And so I just want to say good morning to you. I hope you're up, hope you're well. I hope your family's good. I hope everything is good for you. The one thing that, I do a gospel radio program, the Myriad Gospel Music Countdown. And I was thinking about this song that, I really should have looked it up so I could tell you the artist, but it talks about how we need each other. I need you to survive. I pray for you. You pray for me. And so if there's nothing else that we should be doing for each other and with each other, is actually turning to prayer, thoughtfulness. We have got to be smart. We have got to be intelligent, and we've got to care about each other. I mentioned this on the program last week, I believe, or week before last, that we're wearing masks because we love someone else. It's not just because we're trying to protect ourselves, but it's because we're trying to protect the other people with whom we come in contact. And also, we need to protect our family members, our coworkers. So listen, do the right thing. This is a situation where we may need to sacrifice. So you got to sacrifice. A lot of our children sacrifice graduation. They sacrifice that big day in their life when they would have got a chance to go and walk across the stage and move the tassel. So they sacrifice that. We've got athletes now who are going to be sacrificing the ability to get scholarships and pro contracts. And that really makes me sad because, I know how missing a football or basketball season, missing a baseball season can hurt some of our younger people who aspire to be professional athletes or aspire to have sports propel them and get them college scholarships. And some of that is going to be missed. And so those people are making sacrifices. And so I think that when you see those folks making sacrifices, then maybe it's time for some of us to make sacrifices as well. So, I just want to mention that to you. Hope you got your coffee or your tea. Some of you at 7 o'clock, some of you have probably already had your breakfast. Have you done your workout? I missed my workout today. I'm going to have to catch it later this afternoon, hopefully. I have a busy day today. One of the busier days that I'm going to have in a while. I'm going to have to go in the office. We got stuff to do. So I'll be masked up. I'll be going in the office and doing that. I really want to send a shout out again to all of my business owners. If you are a business owner coming through this situation, then I know sometimes it's tough. But to be honest with you, typically it's never really been easy for people to start, grow, and develop successful business enterprises. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work even in the best of times. And so it's going to take even more work as we come through the COVID-19 pandemic, where we're shutting folks down and we're shutting businesses down. So I really want to take my hat off, and I want to pledge whatever I can do to help you. And I know I got a few people I need to call back right now who have reached out to me and who want to talk about their businesses. So I'm going to be doing that very soon. I'll be doing some of that today. Whatever I can do and whatever we can do at the Birmingham Business Resource Center, whatever I can do as Bob Dickerson, whatever we can do as the H.E. Gaston Business Institute, we want to do it to help those people who have decided to go into business. One of the things that we're doing, and we're not alone, there are other directories. We need to know who businesses are. Once again, you can go to the website, which is GastonBusinessInstitute.com, GastonBusinessInstitute.com, and register. Make sure we know who you are. We will be sharing our directory with other directories. I've talked to a couple other people who have directories. And so we want to make sure that we share our directory with other people who have directories. And so anyway, so good morning to Cynthia. Judy, good morning. How you doing? Good to see y'all out there. Again, we really want to help people, and we've always helped people go into business. And we want to help you stay in business. And we do understand that coming through a tumultuous time, as we are having now, that keeping people in business or having them restart is going to be one of the things that we have to do in order to make sure that our people, Black people, have successful businesses. It's critically important. It's the way, or one of the ways, and perhaps the fastest way, that we can help close the racial wealth gap, is to grow successful businesses that grow to a point where they have significant sales, they have significant customer bases, and they have significant employees. Unfortunately, one of the things that we as a people, as Black people, lag behind in is our businesses, by and large, do not have employees. And so we've got to create more businesses that employ more people. 80% of the people who work for a business looks like the owner. So 80% of the employees of Black businesses are Black, 80% of the employees of Asian businesses are Asian, and so forth and so on. And so if we grow Black business, then at the same time we grow Black employment. A few years ago, and I should do this again, we started doing a session, did a couple of them, called Bible Basics for Business Owners. And I had some experts to come out. Again, I had my brother Glenn, who was really steeped in the Word. Had a good Tuskegee brother. I'm going to talk about Tuskegee, but William Robinson, who was owner of a construction company. Tragically, he died in a cycling accident. But he was one of the speakers. Pastor Brandy Gibson, my friend Yakenia Marie Duff was on there. But we talked about some of the things that the scriptures say. Tamika, good morning. Some of the things that the scriptures say about businesses, about being in business. And so it was very revealing. We had a couple of good crowds. I'm going to start back doing that. As a matter of fact, I know we're still social distancing. I may do it online. If you want me to, you let me know. But I thought about this as I was thinking about this morning. One of the couple of the scriptures that we used and that we talked about, and the one I just jumped out to me was the parable of the talents. It's found in Matthew 25, verses 14 through 29. And if you notice that a man was traveling and he entrusted his wealth. And that was kind of representative to me of ideas and resources to 3 servants. And so I think we gather some business principles from this text. If you read the text, you'll understand that as entrepreneurs, it's important that we be good stewards of ideas, good stewards of resources, good stewards of money. And so one of the things that helps entrepreneurs succeed is that we are good stewards of the things that have been entrusted to us. Now, keep in mind that everything belongs to God. That's found in the book of Psalms. But we're entrusted with it. We're stewards of it. We're caretakers. And it's important that we be good caretakers. And the other thing that jumped out, I'm not going to stay on this too long because I really wasn't planning this too much, but I thought about it. But God gives us, and He expects us to use our talents according to our ability. He doesn't give all of us the same thing. So as a business owner, you don't have the same business owners have. And we have some businesses that are big. We have some businesses that are lifestyle. We have micro businesses. And so the thing is, you have to use what you've been given to the best of your ability and not get sidetracked and caught up measuring yourself to someone else, because that's really not what it's all about. So we're going to be talking more about that as we go on through the program. But once again, I just want to give a shout out to the folks out here who are in business, who are working every day, who made a payroll, who are figuring out how to make it through this pandemic, who were figuring out how to make it through business even before it was a pandemic. You know, you have my support, you have our support, and not only support from what I can do personally or even my organization can do personally. I am, and others, I'm not singling myself out and saying I'm the only one, but there are a group of us who are advocates for you, who are out here talking to banks and other significant businesses, major procurement organizations. Kimberly, good morning. Hey, Ron, what's up? You know, talking to these folks on your behalf to make sure that you get more of an opportunity to sell. I mentioned this before when I worked for A.G. Gaston's bank, Citizens Federal at the time. Lou Willie was my boss, and Lou was really in the insurance business. He was president of the bank, but he was actually in the insurance business. And insurance is about sales. Sales is about persistence. Well, insurance is about persistence to get sales. And he had a sign on his wall that said, nothing happens until somebody sells something. Now, Lou had about 100 signs on his wall, I would imagine. But that's the one that stood out to me and the one that I can still see in my mind's eye right now. And so whatever we do for businesses, we need to help you sell. And that's something that we are working on to do more of at the Birmingham Business Resource Center. So stay tuned for that. Hey, got to give a shout out to Tuskegee. TU. All my friends know what to say. So Jeff Bezos, or Bezos, however you pronounce it, his wife, who got about $35 billion. Mackenzie Scott, she got about $35 billion in their divorce. Got a little money, huh? Anyway, you know, well, thank God for her. She's given $20 million to Tuskegee. She's already given away over $1 billion of her wealth. She's made a commitment to give half of it away. What an example. What an example. Because when you really look at where we are in the world, and even if we just look at America, where 1% of the people own 90% of the resources. 1% of the people own 90% of the resources. So the other 90% of the resources are owned, the other 90% of the people are sharing 10% of the resources, really 9% of the resources. And so when you have people who are wealthy beyond measure, who have so much wealth that even if all of it goes away, they won't miss it. And those folks come out and they do something. They give money away. They help people who need the help. And moreover, they help empower people. So it's not just about giving a man a fish. When you support education, you're teaching a man to fish, going back, you know, to biblical references. And so when you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So when you educate a student, then you feed him for a lifetime. But it's bigger than that. You feed his family. You actually start making pathways for opportunity for his grandchildren, his children's children, his great-grandchildren, his legacy. And so I really want to hats off to Miss Mackenzie Scott. I guess she doesn't go by Bezos. I don't know if she ever did. Maybe she never went by that name. You know, that happens sometimes. So, but anyway, and great news for Tuskegee. Really happy that that happened for my alma mater, class of 1973. Shout out to Tuskegee. And so thanks for that. And I know that, our president, Lily McNair, and all of the folks at Tuskegee are really excited about that, can put that money to good use. And maybe, hopefully, the generosity of Mrs. Scott will spur other multimillionaires and multi-billionaires to do the same thing. Not that some of them aren't, and I'm not suggesting that they aren't, but I am suggesting that they can do more. I think the hoarding of wealth is a sin, and it's one of the things that we really need to do. And it's not about being Robin Hood and necessarily taking from the rich and giving to the poor, but it is about making sure that people who have this enormous wealth, where if you gave away half of it, it doesn't affect your lifestyle or your children's lifestyle or your great grandchildren's lifestyle. Your family is always going to be rich and wealthy. Then if you can share that with people who can just improve themselves, people who now have a chance to be successful in life, and again, have a good education, start a good business, provide for their families, then I think that we've got a good thing. Hey, in my, you can't make this issue up. This is the deal. I saw this. So first of all, I don't do a lot of Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I don't do a lot of Twitter. And I guess, if you follow Trump on Twitter, that's fine. I don't follow him, but the world follows him. So I'm always going to know what he tweeted. But some of this stuff you really can't make up. So the Houston doctor that says that face masks aren't necessary and some sort of alien DNA is having sex with it. Listen, I'm having real difficulty sort of imagining that. But one of the things that it says, and I don't know if you've seen a picture, I don't know, I guess can y'all see it? Right. Can you see it? Kathy, good morning. What's up, Robert? Good morning. I don't know if you can see that, but what that shows you is that Trump has followers of every shape, size, and color. Okay. And I don't know that she's a Trump follower, but he's following her. But anyway, for a leader of the quote unquote free world, that I'm not sure that he is that anymore. Obama was that. I think George Bush was that. I think every other president that I can remember was that. I'm not sure that Trump is actually the leader of the free world. But the point is for him to pick up stuff like this, because she's pushing this hydroxychloroquine, or whatever it is, against most medical advice and most scientific advice, is really ludicrous. It's the kind of stuff you can't make up. Also, along the same lines of stuff you can't make up was, I don't know how many of you all saw Barr on the, testimony before the House Judiciary Committee yesterday. But interesting testimony. I made some notes. Because we should all be concerned about what's happening with quote unquote democracy. Now, as Black folks, we haven't really lived in a real democratic society as related to us. We've always been, low man on the totem pole. In fact, as democratic norms were being created here, as this country was formed, I watched Hamilton for the second time over the weekend. And it was good to see a Black cast, but understanding that even the founding fathers of the United States, who wrote Declaration of Independence and who wrote a Constitution and declared that all men are created equal, still owned slaves, and so that institution of slavery, the racism that had to be present to even allow slavery of African Americans to the degree, the importation and enslavement of African Americans to the degree that it was done, wasn't done by just people, but it had some, idea of what was just for them as related to the rest of Europe and in particular England. But Barr's testimony and what's happening in this country, in this quote unquote democratic country, is troubling. I've mentioned words on this program before, like autocratic, like kleptocracy, like fascism, those are the kinds of dictatorship. Those are the kinds of things that we have to be concerned about when the judiciary and the police, that's the Attorney General, law enforcement, and the executive and a branch of Congress all seem to be working together to the detriment of the people and to the detriment of the country. Danielle, good morning. Wanda, good morning. This is why we should be concerned. And I don't think that it is a partisan concern that I have. I think it's a legitimate concern. And listening to Barr's testimony was really concerning. Okay, so it's okay to tear gas peaceful protesters. He could not say that it was not. He did not immediately say that it is not okay to tear gas peaceful protesters. And we have a freedom of speech in this country, and these people but we have a right to assemble. And yes, when some people get out of hand, I get that. But that still doesn't give you the right to tear gas, beat, and trample over peaceful protesters. Is it okay for the president to move the election? He hedged and hesitated on his answer. I think he finally said he didn't know. And so, is it okay for the president to move the election? The Constitution says the election is the Tuesday after the second Monday or whatever it is. I don't know, but it is in the Constitution, and it is not okay. From what I've learned, only Congress can do that. The president can't do it. The Attorney General either didn't know or wouldn't say. Is it okay if Trump doesn't leave office if he loses? He hedged on that. Go back and look at it. He basically said, well, if it was legitimate. Well, what's going to determine legitimacy here? Is it going to be Trump? Is it going to be Barr? Oh, hell no. I'm just saying we cannot overlook this kind of stuff. And it happens. It's happening in broad daylight. I mean, this stuff happened, in the Congress of the United States. Is 67 too old to go to jail? I guess it is if you trust me. 67 too old to go to jail. Well, then let all the brothers that's over 60 out of jail right now. Come on. 67 is too old to go to jail if you're Trump's friend. And for 9 years. Come on now. That doesn't make sense. And police don't kill more black people than white people. Well, they don't. But, percentage wise, it's abhorrent. We're 13% of the people in this country. And we're 80% of folks that get killed by police. Some crazy number like that. And so what Barr feeds into and what we have to understand, and I think he demonstrated it perfectly, is that what we have in this country, and we've talked about it, is structural racism. Structural, it's legitimization of this historical, cultural, institutional, and personal, all this stuff that routinely advantages white people over people of color. It's inequitable. It's the privilege that white folks have at the expense of black people. And folks like Barr, even though all of this wasn't racial that he talked about yesterday, it did give a glimpse into who he is and what he thinks. And I think when you get a glimpse into that, you get a glimpse into what a lot of influential, powerful people think inside of their hearts. And then they act out, in the way they do their jobs. And so, this is really something that we have to fight against and be concerned about. But in order to fight against it and demonstrate this concern, at some level, we have to identify it. And unfortunately, we are not the only people who have to identify and come to grips with the fact that it exists. Other folks too, even the perpetrators of it. And so that's what we need to always be aware of, is that the structure of this society has racial connotations, and its very purpose, if left to its own devices, is going to hold me and you down. It was set up that way. It's always been that way. And when people say, I didn't know, I mentioned that the other week on the show, now that that we're getting, this light, and, we see a lot of young white people out, marching for Black Lives Matter. And then your friends are coming up to you. They've been your friends for a long time. And then they're saying, well, I didn't really know that it was like that. I didn't really know that this structural racism existed. I didn't know that it hurts you financially because of generations of economic robberies and economic detours. I didn't really know. I hadn't really thought of it. Well, let me just say this. It's time to think about it. And not only is it time to think about it, it's time to do something about it. This country institutionalizes racism. And I'm not talking about the personal racism. I mean institutional racism. Institutional racism is far more dangerous than personal racism, because it plays out in the ability to own a house that's going to appreciate in value. It plays out in the ability to get a job that's going to move you forward and help you move your family forward. It plays out in your health care. How well you get or how sick you get, it plays out there. It plays out in education. When your zip code determines how educated you're going to be, if you go to a public school, or how well educated you're going to be if you go to a public school. It plays out in redlining. It plays out in lack of access to capital for businesses. And so since it's playing out in all of those arenas, we have to fight it in all of those arenas. Now, I'm down for the fight. I hope you are too. Hey, I'll check you out next week. This is Bob Dickerson, Within the Black.